Hey, looks like we're going.
Hey, FCC fans, you could show your pride in a whole new way with the new FCC Visa debit card from First Financial Bank. First Financial is the exclusive banking partner of FCC, and they are just as committed to this club as you and I are. Not only does the card look awesome, but it also gets you discounts on FCC tickets and merch. Find out how to get yours and to see the account terms and conditions at bankatfirst.com/FC Cincinnati. First Financial Bank, member FDIC. Hey, what's happening, CS Tiers? Welcome to the late edition of the Big Show here on Monday evening. Glad you are with us tonight here. Better late than ever. Right, folks? We are with you live here on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. I think we actually are. We're pleased to be with you here on this big Monday night show. We're talking Hell is Real, and that was been a hellish Monday night for sure here at Cincinnati Soccer Talk, but we're with you. We're going to be recapping the big game over the weekend, the Columbus Crew getting the 3-1 win over FC Cincinnati. We're going to also open up the phone lines so that you can have your say on tonight's show. Get in touch with us, 513-399-KICK on the Kings Hammer Hotline. We can talk about anything you want, from yesterday's match to the season as a whole, to next season. This is your chance, FC Cincinnati fans, to have your say. All right, let's welcome in my cast of characters for this week. Bryan Oweigel. How you doing, buddy?
And just like, just not like FC Cincinnati, we got our stuff together after halftime, so that's good. Props to you there. Just after 9:30, you got it going, pal. Way to work through it. Cuss out a couple tech service people. You are the man to deliver the voice to the people. So, all right, how you doing?
I'm good. Yes, I was. I'm not gonna lie, a little stressed there. So if you did call in and were waiting for us, you got to hear every bit of it.
Clenched bum time. That's what it was.
Yeah, that was stressful. But we're here. We're live. And this is our opportunity to vent, right? And to get a lot of things off our chest about what happened over the weekend. So glad to have you back to the show, Bryan. Also glad to have back Coach Goff, or as Boston likes to say, Coach Go. Brad, Coach, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. I'm happy to finally be on the podcast. And hey, wouldn't be a podcast with me on it if we didn't have some tech issues. So at least it wasn't my fault this time.
No, definitely not your fault. It was not my internet's fault. This was a platform issue that got resolved here, and we're live, which is the most important thing. So again, phone lines are open. Rob Pierce standing by, ready to take your calls tonight. The best part is we get to start at 9:40, and Rob goes to bed typically around 9:45. So he's going to have a late one tonight. So again, get in touch with us, 513-399-KICK, 513-399-KICK. Get in touch here on the Kings Hammer Hotline. All right, Bryan, let's start with you. Your overall thoughts on what went down over the weekend?
Well, let's start off a little bit. We had a great time, Coach. Coach and I played very, very well, unlike FC Cincinnati this weekend, at the 2019 4th Annual Cincinnati Soccer Talk Foot Golf Classic, right, Coach?
Yeah, I got to partner up here with the good twin, and we came in a respectable 10 under par.
11 under, don't short us.
11 under par. No thanks to the first 5 holes. Yours truly not doing so hot there.
First 9 holes, but it's okay. We love you anyway. You did, dude. Honest to goodness, Soups. Like on a lighter moment here, because we're gonna talk about a bunch of shit later. Just taught your 4-year-old how to spell.
Yeah.
Coach, man, you get him riled up, and this guy goes from like your D player on your team to like your superstar. Like this guy over here, he just got wound up so tight, and then he just shot off like a friggin' rocket. I loved it, man. On my team again next year. So good job, Coach. Great event, man. It was a fun time. Got to raise a lot of money for the kids. Don't know how much it was, Brad. I'll tell you all later. But yeah, y'all got to join us next year. It was actually maybe best moment, second best moment of the weekend for FC Cincinnati, I think.
And you couldn't have picked a better weekend weather-wise, so that worked out great for you guys. Wish I could have been there, but hopefully next year.
Yeah, it's okay. So you want to dive down this tragedy, which was this weekend?
Should we let Coach have his say? Because I know he's got notes after notes after notes of what went down over the weekend. Brad, what are your thoughts? Is disappointment an understatement?
My notes here are just lots of poo emojis.
He threw them while we were waiting for you.
So, no, I mean, in all reality, there's been a lot of talk. Tale of two teams is what I put on my my Twitter and my Instagram account with first half and the second half. I understand that Columbus didn't play with the same exact intensity the second half, and you cannot overstate how putrid FC Cincinnati was in the first half. But I do think that Columbus came out in the second half wanting to put a 5 spot on us, and I think there's something to be said for the adjustments that were made. We saw, I think, Jan's move to a 4-2-3-1 from a 4-3-3, give Stanko a little help. Quit man marking Santos with Stanko and let Stanko and Ulloa focus more as a double pivot and try to eat up more space, which allowed them to help out the outside backs a bit more. Allowed Mane to come in for Maddox. He played a little bit more in between the lines. They were all really good adjustments. Encouraging to me as a coach to see that Ron Jans had that in his tool belt. My question is, Subs, why not sooner?
Well, I think this is probably the first time we actually had a better second half than a first half over the last 20 games. So I guess that's positive. But yeah, I mean, the team looked just out of shape in the first half. Like there was a gulf that was the size of the Grand Canyon between Stanko and then Ulloa and Cruz trying to get the ball forward. So I mean, you see a lot of just glaring issues that, thank goodness, they were switched later on in the game. We had issues with our wingers kind of pinching out too far wide, and then you had Maddox not pressing, and it was just a whole host of errors that you just saw the frustration out of the coaching staff. At halftime, Ron Jans is I thought they were ready, but apparently not. So I haven't seen a team come out like that in an important game in quite a long time. So that was kind of disheartening. But you did, again, you still do see a couple things that I feel like we're moving. We're progressing a little bit forward with this club. Still need to figure out what we got, but it's also tough to ask certain players that maybe aren't the best fit for that Dutch formation, whatever you call it. I don't know. I could be wrong there, Coach.
Well, I will say this, Brad. I will say this, and I think, yes, there were some positives in that second half, right? I mean, they didn't concede a goal, but I don't really know. Columbus sat back pretty deep, right? I mean, they made it easy for FC Cincinnati to possess the ball in that second half. It just felt like at that point, Columbus was like, hey, we're good. We got this. You're not going to score 3 goals on us in the second half. The fact they got 1 was pretty miraculous in itself. So I don't know how much it was the adjustments, which I'm sure helped a little bit, but I also, too, I do think that Columbus just said, nah, we're good. We're just going to shut up shop and let you just pass the ball amongst the back line, which apparently they did.
Yeah, it's hard to say, and we'll never truly know. But you can't tell me that Giazzi Zardes didn't want to get the hat trick. You can't tell me that that Caleb Porter didn't want to hang a 5 or a 6 goal game on FC Cincinnati. So clearly they didn't have the foot pedal to the metal going down, foot on the accelerator there. But at the same time, they didn't totally bunker back and go into a shell. So I think it's a both and. I think that Columbus definitely sat back a bit more. I think we also saw some good things for the team. Now, do those good things cover up how much terrible things we saw in the first half? I don't think so. But if you're looking for anything positive, anything to grasp onto, I think that those adjustments, I think that the play of Kekuta Mane, I mean, his first touch on that goal was something we haven't seen him do all season. Those are little things that we can hold on to going forward and just hope that we can see more and more of those things.
Low bar.
Yeah.
Well, we've got phone lines open, 513-399-KICK. This is your chance, folks, to have your say on what went down over the weekend. Let's head to the Kings Hammer Hotline, shall we? And let's welcome in Rupesh to the show. Rupesh has been on hold since 9 o'clock tonight. He was ready to go from minute one. Well, apparently we weren't, but we welcome Rupesh to the show. Rupesh, how's it going?
All right, how are you doing, Subs?
Oh, my blood pressure is down a little bit now. I'm feeling a little bit better. What's on your mind?
I really don't want to talk about the game yesterday. I think everybody knows how I have felt this whole season. So I was just wondering if you guys can just see who you guys think you could see being pivotal members of this team, not even next year, but in 2021 when we go to the new stadium.
Wow, loaded question off the bat. I like it. Go ahead, Bryan.
Well, I think the first question you got to figure out is Ron Jan's going to be your guy, or is he just a stopgap? But I'm sure that's going to be a discussion we're going to have for quite a while. Honestly, I mean, nobody on this roster outside of Cruz is safe in the starting role. No, I don't think Amaya is a starter in the.
Oh, you mean a starting? Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
I mean, as a starter, Coach, what do you have thoughts on? Like, it's like legitimately like a safe player. Like you're chalked in as a starter next year.
Yeah, if you're talking safety,
in 2 years, even
guys,
2 years. Sorry.
Yeah, in 2 years, like a guy that I could say is safe on this roster. I think you're exactly right. It's got to be Cruz is the only one. All the other guys, I can see useful pieces out there. Ulloa, Stanko's come on a bit of late, and Deplan, players like that. They've been okay, but in terms of just like that safety guys that you can see in 2 years that will be still in their prime and still able to contribute valuable minutes, I think Cruz is about it.
And that's kind of where we need to be heading, is we need to be identifying those pieces that can get us, to that promised land of the playoffs either next year or 2021, which is probably the realistic goal considering how we just blew through our wad of TAM and GAM, and thank you, ma'am. So I don't know, man. What's your thoughts? Who do you highlight?
You talking to me, Bryan?
Yeah, talking to you,
yeah.
Rupesh.
Yeah, I would say Cruz, maybe Amaya, but I mean, just not having seen him play for a month now, who knows? And then, I mean, we haven't seen like Ben Lunt or whoever. I think he's playing down in Louisville City, and I hear he's doing well. Maybe him in 2 years could be a starting goalkeeper for us, but other than that, I don't really see anybody else.
Is what they say, the cupboard is bare, and that's awfully, awfully sad considering how much money we spent this off season. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see how it goes. I think there's a lot of promise in certain players. Joe Zhao, Derek Etienne. I still think that one of those two starts next year. I still think you need to go get a proven player coming from Europe or South America that can come off the wing, maybe cut inside. Amaya's got a lot of promise, but he's still had 7 starts or 8 MLS starts. So I mean, you can't say he's chalked to be our number 10 next year. I don't think we want him to be our 10 next year. He still needs to grow. So a lot of room,
I
man.
think we still don't know what Amaya's best position is. We've slotted him in at the number 10, but we've seen this team doesn't have a 10. Is he starting at the number 10 because that's where Nykamp sees him going forward? Or is he slotting in at the number 10 just because we literally have nobody else that can play there? When you have Alan Cruz being your number 10 in the space of Amaya, and who's next on the depth chart there? Corbin Bone. I love Corbin, but in terms of MLS talent, he's not a starter in this league anymore, if ever. So is Amaya an 8? Is he a winger? I think the jury's still out. So I think he will definitely be around in 2 years. Whether he's a key contributor to this team and where he's a key contributor, I think the jury's still very much out on that.
Rupesh, appreciate you being patient with us tonight. Thanks for giving us a ring, and don't be a stranger, all right, bud?
All right. Thanks, guys.
That's Rupesh starting us off tonight here on the Kings Hammer Hotline. We've got phone lines open, 513-399-KICK. Again, that number, 513-399-KICK. Let's go to Columbus, shall we? And let's welcome in Alec Stanek onto the show. Alec.
Oh, my boy.
Welcome to CST. How are you?
Not too bad. Not too bad. How are you guys doing?
Well, I'd hope you'd be feeling pretty good after what happened on Sunday.
You better be.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah. It was one heck of a night. It was it felt kind of like heaven and hell. It was hell was real for Cincinnati, but we were on cloud nine basically the entire game.
As you should have been. I guess the question I have for you is, what got into Giassi Zardes? Because he played really well that first half.
Yeah, well, I mean, he owed us one from the first leg of this whole derby. I mean, that last minute miss in Columbus, it was haunting my dreams for days afterward. It was just, I was in Nordeca for that game, and you just see it come right across the face of the net, and I was literally grabbing the people next to me, ready to jump up on to the front of Nordeca, and just skied it. So he owed us one, and he really pulled through for us. He's a really talented guy, a little bit streaky, but really, really talented, and definitely showed up big for us last night.
Yeah, that's the thing about Zardes, right? Is that he's going to show up enough to earn that big contract and to stick around, but he's going to let you down enough to where he's always going to break your heart. He's like a bad country song, man.
Yeah. He's a very kind of Columbus DP player, and I'm curious to see what FC Cincinnati do in the next couple of years here, because one problem that we have is we can never quite get the level of talent that you get in New York or in LA, and how many people want to go? If you're already multimillionaire from Europe or something like that, do you really want to come to Columbus, Ohio, when you could go to Miami? Do you really want to go to Cincinnati, Ohio, when you could go to New York? That's going to be an interesting thing, but he's about the best striker we've ever had. But he still has those moments where, you think it's guaranteed. He's a DP striker. He's the U.S. national team guy. Skies it. So it's frustrating, but showed up big for us, and all around good team performance. It was a great evening for us.
What's it like to have DPs and strikers that can score goals?
Well,
because we've been waiting all year, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice, but you also have those moments where with more money comes greater expectation.
Sure.
He was the same kind of player for us last season, and when he was on less than DP money, and you dealt with it because he didn't have that title attached to him. With the bigger expectations, you get angrier with players quicker. And in Columbus, we have a little bit of a different relationship with our players than a lot of teams do. Players are more like family, especially after the whole Save the Crew thing. Anyone who kind of toughed it out with us through that gets a lot more slack than other players would have, I think. But he showed up when he needed to. The game in Nippert was one that we had all kind of thought about. I think a lot of Crew fans this season wanted to just kind of enjoy it. Cincy fans were relentless with kind of chirping at us throughout the season, and we wanted to shut that up for a little bit. So hopefully you guys can give us a couple weeks, just peace and quiet. We can just, enjoy the fact that we still exist as a franchise.
Yeah, that was a rough one. I got to ask about your experience at Nippert. I will say I don't know if it was your first experience at Nippert for a game. I know personally I had a great time at Montfrey Stadium. I was treated well by Crew supporters. I'm assuming you went to the game in Cincinnati, correct, Alec?
Yeah. This was my second visit. I was there for the Open Cup, and I was in section 114 in the Crew section up at the upper deck. So both times were fantastic. Everybody was super nice. Parking situation is much easier in and out than Montfrey Stadium, which is weird because we have parking spaces galore at the fairgrounds, but it's a pain in the neck getting in and out. But yeah, walked to the match, walked right past the big Bearcat statue thing, and everybody from the Bailey was there, lighting off smoke bombs and chanting. Didn't have any problems getting through that, and everybody was just super nice. And I think that's something that's interesting about the rivalry is, we were not held back from leaving the upper deck. They just kind of let us out, even though they said they were going to make us wait 30 minutes. Didn't happen. I believe that the away fans in Columbus, it was the same story. They just kind of let everybody out. There were no issues. That's not been the case in the past with our rivals. Toronto, we've had issues with. Chicago, we've had issues with. People driving by and throwing glass bottles at people, stuff like that. Like not fun situations in the past with other teams, but this seems like it's more friendly, and I hope it stays that way.
Sure.
I think it's healthier that way, and hopefully, I don't want to wish you guys any good luck, of course, but I mean, hopefully, each team gets the opportunity to win here and there, and it stays relatively friendly.
Well, Alex, we were having a little convo on Twitter earlier today about, I bet 75% of FC Cincinnati fans had a piece of Columbus Crew gear up until about a week ago. Thank you, 30% off. But so there's a nice history there, which is kind of cool to see. It's still surreal seeing, like, when I went to Columbus that first time, and actually, like, being an away fan was so friggin' weird. Like, I'm used to standing in the Nordeck or even on that stage during the Eastern Conference playoffs when they beat New York Red Bull. So it's a different feeling. Now, I still love my team and praise that we won the first ever Hell is Real with Jibby. Thank you, St. Jibby. But yeah, so I think there's going to be a lot of cool things to come.
Yeah.
A lot of cool. Now you know how we feel, or I guess we know how you felt. So.
Yeah. I mean, leaving for that Open Cup game, that was one of those weird situations for a Crew fan where you felt like we basically gained nothing from winning this. Nobody cares about the Open Cup. And I'm assuming that you guys are now in a position where you don't really care about the Open Cup as much. We didn't really care about the Open Cup. We just didn't want to lose to Cincinnati. It was like it was like the competition doesn't matter, but the bragging rights for the thing that we didn't want to have to deal with. And you just had a feeling during that Open Cup game that, like, we're going to concede some stupid set-piece goal, and we're not going to score anything. And, yeah, that header, I was right. I still can see it in slow motion. I was like, oh, come on, guys. Yeah, that was not fun. But, I mean, those are the kinds of things, back and forth. Each side gets a little bit of it, and then, you build on it from there. But it was a really great experience. Everybody was super nice, and can't wait for the next one.
Yeah, it should be a blast. Hopefully it goes better for FCC fans next season. Appreciate the call, Alec.
Thanks so much.
That's Alec on the Kings Hammer Hotline. We've got lines open, though. Get in touch with us, 513-399-KICK. Again, that number, 513-399-KICK. Let's go again to the phones. Let's speak with Ryan, who was there at the game on Sunday. Ryan, welcome to Cincinnati Soccer Talk. How are you?
Much obliged. Doing great. Thank you for asking. I mean, not that great, but okay.
What's on your mind?
Yeah, so two things. Maybe I'm just the only one, but I feel that part of this, the issue that we're having regarding our like the Audi situation and all that nature, those godlike like videos and things where they hype up so much. And again, I know that's their job, but my first real gripe is that they hype up a player so much. They show these, highlights, best reels like they did with Audi and a bunch of other players. You get ultra excited. They don't perform, and then you feel let down. So I wonder what, for a fan base, how much impact they have. Also, the second thing that I want, frustration. Again, I was sitting underneath the visitor section, and that's where our season tickets are. And I felt like this one, I mean, it personally doesn't bother me. I'm not a prude in any way, shape, or form, but was a lot more vulgar than anything we've ever been used to underneath. I mean, F-bombs this, and I mean, like straight up, not like and now and then, like chants and whatnot that kind of made a lot of people leave at the halftime and whatnot, at least where I was sitting. I don't know if anybody else heard of that or experienced that, but those were my two things I just wanted to throw out there and see what everybody thought.
Coach, you over that way?
No, I sit over in the family section, but on the opposite side. Personally, as someone who has had to rein in my inner fan often, when I'm on the sidelines as a coach or when I was scouting college athletes and things, you really have to take a step back and view the game. And more as I trained myself to watch the game as a coach, it started to actually really aggravate me sometimes when fans get overly involved, I guess I'll say. And I think it's sort of the same issue you're hitting on with the hype videos and with the chanting from the away fans. I think what you're seeing is you're seeing fans who start to overemphasize what's happening in certain situations and kind of downplaying the bigger picture. And I think when you look at the bigger picture, Columbus fans deserve to have a good night out. Columbus crew came in, they beat FC Cincinnati handily on FC Cincinnati's pitch. But there was some chants, this is our house, USL things. I'm not saying that I'm opposed to those or that they even bother me. But again, you look at the bigger picture and you kind of think like, man, you guys are 11th in the East and you've been around how many years and you have how many DPs, and, to be starting to spout off in that way, you just start to think like sometimes you need to take a step back. And I think the same thing about FC Cincinnati fans, the whole thing that we have with yelling sucks after the opponent's team is announced. I just think it's juvenile. And I think sometimes taking a step back and starting to create a culture for your team that is different and that really, emphasizes that you're all there to just have a great time and just a party and not necessarily belittle anybody else. That's why I was so glad to hear Alex say that he had a good time and everybody was nice to him here. That's what I want my team to be known for, is just like an unbelievable supporters environment. None of the negativity, just like, man, going to see a game in Cincinnati is just unreal. It's like Portland or it's like Kansas City. It's a place that you got to put it on your bucket list. You want to go see. That's what I want my team to be known for.
Yeah, I can't speak to what happened in your section there, but at some point, I think we all as supporters take ourselves a little too seriously in some of this trash talking and all this crap. And sometimes it's just it's okay to just have fun and mess around. Like, that I thought that KLR video with them actually coming out and them being the people that burned the FC Cincinnati jersey, I thought that was hysterical. But I mean, it is what it is. Now, I do see Chris Asbrock said he sits below the visiting supporters, and they were tossing beer. So there is no excuse for that if that did happen, and I'd love FC Cincinnati to address that if it did happen. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, again, I didn't hear many widespread reports of that.
Yeah, I didn't either, and I guess the way I look at it too is like it's a rivalry game, right? You're going to hear things. I'm sure there was stuff said in our supporter section in Columbus that maybe some of their fans took exception to. I get what you're saying there, Ryan. I really do. I personally, I was not there at the match on Sunday, so I don't know what was said. I can only base it on my experience in Columbus. The Columbus fans were civil with us in our section because I was not in the designated supporters section. I was just off to the side, so I was sitting amongst some crew fans, and we were civil with one another. So. It is what it is. I hope it doesn't turn ugly, like Alex said a moment ago. I like that it's somewhat of a friendly rivalry at the moment, but I'm sure at some point that will turn. Right. I mean, it's going to change at some point where it's going to be heated and get nasty, and I don't know. I kind of feel like it's inevitable.
Oh, I mean, I can't wait for that point, like to where it gets like we're talking a bunch of crap like we do at Louisville. But there's some point, it's the first time out there. It is what it is.
Yeah. Anything else, Ryan?
No, that was pretty much it. I mean, again, I have a blast. I mean, no, I don't really care when we shape another. But sometimes when you're around, I sit in the lower zone, family zone, and whatnot, and I mean, seeing just reactions and whatnot from like kids, I kind of felt kind of embarrassed. Be like, some people that I have. And a lot of these faces I see are different every single week. And so I know that either they sit somewhere else normally or just maybe here for one game here and there. But definitely what I don't, I want our away guests. I mean, I was treated great over at Columbus. I was at Mapfree. But I'm talking about specifically also, I just don't want there to be an environment for the people that come out of curiosity or people that come out because they heard great things and that's the experience they have.
Sure.
It was kind of embarrassing as a fan just to kind of, not even one team or another, just, have them wanting to leave because they don't want their kids or family overhearing certain things. I mean, it is what it is. But no, that was my only thing I wanted to bring up, and just saying, hey, I think we kind of, not we, but FC Cincinnati kind of shoots itself in the foot sometimes by putting out these hype videos or creating like this environment where they did so many other players and the interviews and like rolling out the red carpet and whatnot, and then all of a sudden fails to deliver anything, and kind of where we as a fan base, we love it. We like to get our info, we get thrilled, hyped up, and and then all of a sudden, things just do not go to a plan, which seemed to be the theme of our season this year. But that was my biggest, wanted to throw out there is how much does FC Cincinnati have to do with creating this, hype environment where we eat it up and then just get let down. That was my only point. That's
right.
it.
Well, fair enough. Appreciate the call, Ryan.
Thank you.
It's Ryan on the Kings Hammer Hotline with some interesting thoughts on, the hype videos and the club hyping players. I mean, I guess I understand why the club would want to hype new signings and new players. I get that. They're trying their best to market the club too.
They really need to hype up this Adi player. People apparently believe if you hype videos up on Twitter that like their transfer market value goes up. So we really need to do that with Adi.
That's sarcasm, folks. I don't know if you could tell. Bryan was laying it on pretty thick there. Let's go back to the phones. And by the way, we still have phone lines open. 513-399-KICK, 513-399-KICK. Have your say about what happened over the weekend, as Coach likes to adjust his mic on the show.
Like we can hear that.
Oh, jeez Louise. All right, let's welcome in Zach to the show. He wants to talk about the roster build. Zach, welcome to CST. How are you?
Good. How are you doing, Subes? Long time listener, first time caller.
Oh, appreciate you calling in.
Hey, nice. I just wanted to talk about a little bit about the game real quick, but before I do, I just want to say that while you're pouring a foundation, you don't change the blueprints. But if they didn't want to go with Koch to start, they shouldn't have went with him. And that was a very big issue. So all these guys that they got now are for that style of play that Koch kind of wanted to build around. Now, to get on to the game, the first 45 minutes I thought was very uninspired soccer. I mean, it just was flat. It was boring, and there's no excuse for that, no matter what style or what coach kind of comes in and puts in to play. So the argument of the not my style mentality goes right out the window with lack of effort there. So definitely one of the big things that I have. I understand that guys are picked for certain spots, or they're picked basically like, by their skill set and what they're good at. But even all professionals should be able to adapt and adjust, with coaching changes and things like that. So maybe it's not my style I play, but hey, I'm going to listen to the coach and I'm going to give it my best bet. You know what I mean? Give it my best foot forward.
Right.
No, I was just saying we've had issues playing as a unit all year. And I think that even when you're switching things up like right now, there's sometimes things get lost in translation. But I feel like when you look at the Maddox issue that we saw this weekend and how he subbed out right at half, I mean, you could just clearly see he wasn't following the vision set by the coaching staff this match. I thought that was a glaring thing coming out of this match. And is that going to be something that like we might not even see him the rest of the year?
Right. Yeah. I mean, and just because you're running all over the field, doesn't mean you're outperforming your team and working harder. Exactly. it leaves you cut out of position at times and not where you're needed to be when the opportunity comes to make that, very few chances that we actually get to have a good strike in there. So that's kind of where I'm feeling. Not to throw Maddox under the bus, because there were other guys caught out of position and whatnot, but
it's okay to throw him under the bus this week. It's all right.
Hey, but let's look at it this way. At least he's on the field, right? I mean,
was on the field,
but I mean, they're paying a lot of money in Fernando Adi, who can't even get on the field, right? I mean, they went into this season fully expecting him to be their goal scoring threat, and it is just not materialized at all. That's how is that entirely on Maddox?
Well, you're talking about the plan with Koch earlier.
Right.
And I think, that it really does boil down to that, because if you had Adi up there, maybe Maddox or Mane could have played wide. And now you have to keep, one or if not both of them ready there for the starting role up top. So, yeah, it's really impacted how this team has gone forward this year. But, I mean, that being said, we're still quite a bit of pieces away from being successful. And I think that's definitely an issue that's going to be addressed this offseason. But I mean, I don't know even if we can get rid of like the guys like Maddox and Mane and Lamar. So we'll see how that goes, if they're able to be moved, if they're able to be cut, or if we're able to con a team into picking them up. So we'll see.
Yeah, I don't think you need to trick anybody into getting. No, I don't think you need to trick anybody to getting Lamar. Like I thought he was he is a very good player. He looked good out there. He was very physical on the ball, and he has great foot skills. But, maybe he's not the type of player that's going to be able to press for 90 minutes like Ron Jans wants us to do. And, and his skill set may be for, God, I don't even want to say it, but Nashville might be looking to pick up a few attacking pieces, before they start next season.
I think the other thing you have to remember here is that coaches have egos, and we didn't see a plan out of Alan Koch. We're talking about changing plans. I'm not sure. I think Alan Koch changed plans three times leading into the season. But coaches have egos. So I think that if we have some pieces that we can move, and there's going to be a coach out there that thinks that he can get the best out of Lamar or out of Maddox or out of Adi. The thing about it is they're also going to know that they can get them at a discount, because they know we're desperate to get rid of some of these pieces. So it's going to be a couple years before we're out from under some of these signings. And until then, we need to have some consistency. You can't go from Koch to Demay to Jans and be constantly changing the voice these guys are hearing. And these guys are thinking, I'm under contract longer than the coach is. There's got to be some consistency there. And that way there's some accountability from the players, knowing, if I don't impress this coach, then I'm not going to be around anymore. And that's important.
Appreciate the call, Zach.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
That's Zach on the Kings Hammer Hotline. Again, we've got phone lines open, 513-399-KICK. Let's do our best to keep Rob Pierce up as late as possible, folks. I'm kidding, of course. I guess one thing when we talk about a direction, right, and we talk about consistency, I think the fact that Gerard Nijkamp is now in place, he's got his philosophy, he's got his method, his way of building clubs, right? Now, I know that's different over in Europe. He can do it a little bit differently, but he has shown in the past to take clubs that don't have the resources that, say, an LAFC has, and New York Red Bulls, and some of these other teams, and be successful, right? So I think there are some positives that have taken place this summer. Now, the results on the field aren't there, and I know Nijkamp doesn't have his players in, Jans doesn't have his players in, but at least the club, I guess, has taken that step to, okay, we're starting with Gerard's vision, and it's going to take time to build these pieces, but at least they started somewhere, right? At the beginning of the year, they were all over the map.
Well, I think this is... go ahead, Coach. Go.
No, I think you're exactly right, Subs. I think that there is a direction, but it's going to take time, because you can't take a player that is suited to playing, running off the shoulder of a back line, say, maybe Maddox would say. He wants to run the channels. He wants to run in straight lines. He wants to just go. And you can't ask him then to check back to the ball and receive the ball at his feet and bring his teammates into play. It's not his skill set. You can't take a player like Kendall Waston, who does some things really well, but he is not suited to the pressing style of play. He's not quick. He's really good at winning the balls out of the air. He's good at using his physicality to boss center forwards off the ball. He's not going to keep up with Luis Diaz when he gets matched up on him one-on-one because Andrew Gutman got a little too far forward. So as fans, what we need to do is start to look at this incrementally and not look at necessarily the results, but say, what steps are we seeing? Understanding that Maddox isn't the answer, that maybe even Waston, who might be, one of the more consistent players on FCC, he might not even be a great fit for this system. So what are we seeing that are improvements going forward? And you just have to hold on to that positivity, because if not, there's nothing else.
Well, Austin better be part of the system because he's re-signed for a couple of years apparently. So,
well, we don't know. We don't know how all that said was it was an extension.
Well,
we don't know if that means just next year or beyond, and that was never revealed.
That's MLS for you. With that being said, though, man, I have always preferred having like somebody with MLS experience in terms of building the roster or at least coaching, and that kind of worries me with the club as is right now. But if you look at like what Philadelphia Union are doing, when they brought in Ernst Tanner from Red Bull Salzburg, and he's been able to get. He's been able to find a couple pieces and help mold some of those young guys into a huge contender right now out in Philly. And I think if Nijkamp can, bring in a couple pieces, find the right players, and then, slowly build up this academy, I think we're going to be a step ahead of a couple other teams in the long run, because there's still a lot of teams like out there, like the Revs, who are doing better, under Arena, but the Revs in Houston, San Jose, that just kind of want to nickel and dime things out. So I'm excited that the club has a long-term vision if they stay true to it versus that piecemeal that they had been doing. And you have to remember, this is a league they still have like businessmen as like GMs thinking they can make soccer moves. And we saw how that went really quickly. Thank goodness we adjusted after it. But I'm at least optimistic with what Nijkamp can do. Now, is he going to go out and get, has been European players? No offense, VDW, but, that's not a hugely inspiring signing. I think it was a good signing. But, we need him to go out there and find the next diamond in the rough, some impact players that can, in 2020 really start turning the page for FC Cincinnati, because that's what we need to start doing. Because if we don't, say bye-bye to those 30,000 person crowds, because if we keep laying eggs like we are right now, man, I don't know who's going to want to watch.
Let's talk a little bit about Gutman over the weekend, Coach, because you brought him up. Not his best night in the orange and blue. I know he's still relatively young, first year as a professional, but I think the crew really made a point to attack his side there in the match.
Absolutely. I mean, if you just look at the heat maps, if you look at the percentages spent in areas of the field, the crew absolutely targeted their right-hand side, which is our left-hand side, Gutman's side of the field. Part of what Jans is having the team doing is he's having the left winger pinch centrally so that Gutman can get forward. And we've seen the good of that. That goal that Mane scored came because Ledesma had pinched infield into like sort of an area where like the number 10 would be, picked up the ball and was able to slot Mane in. We've seen it work, but at the same time, you have Gutman bombing forward, and then you have to have either a center back who can match up with the winger one-on-one when the ball is transitioned wide, which we do not have in Van der Werf or Waston, or you have to have a number 6 holding mid that can get out wide quickly in transition and break up that play before it starts. And is Stanko that guy? I mean, he hasn't shown it yet. I'm not saying that he can't be, but what we saw on Sunday was Jans had Stanko man marking Pedro Santos. And so he would follow Santos away from the play, and then the awful would get forward on the right-hand side, and Stanko wouldn't be close enough to be able to get near him. And then it's, when it's awful on Waston or awful just in space, ready to pick apart just with a cross, They're just some pieces that are not clicking together. And that's what worries me is as much positivity I have, Vanderwerf, Etienne Jr., Joe Zhao. I think these are all good pieces. I've not been upset with anything that Nykamp has done since he's gotten here, but there's just some certain things that aren't clicking into place that I just really need to see some cohesion moving forward before I really start to say, yeah, Nykamp and Jans, they're on a mission and they got it. They're moving in one direction.
Again, we got phone lines open, 513-399-KICK, 513-399-KICK. Get in touch and have your say, FCC fans. If you're there at the match over the weekend, what did you make of it? And what are you looking forward to, at least for the rest of this season, for the orange and blue? All right, it's that time of the show where we give a big shout-out and thanks to our tremendous supporters. First up, it's Kings Hammer and Tim Bronsel, Matt Adamczyk, Brian Malone, Jamie Smed, Jonas Tom, Jack Emery, Mike Bowman, Kathleen Francis, Teresa Everidge, Matt Imholt, Matthew Long, Joe Coling, and Tara Mullins. Thank you so much for supporting us here at Cincinnati Soccer Talk. We really do appreciate your generosity and making this show go. To learn more on how you can support the show, head on over to CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com/support. So we've got a few more home games left, and believe it or not, we're in the final stretch of this season, gents. As we head into the Labor Day weekend. Bri, there's only a handful of games left. What is it that you specifically want to see from this group the rest of the year?
I'd like to see maybe Joe Zhao or Etienne stick out and maybe be a reliable piece to build on. If you can just get one of those guys to click, I mentioned earlier, I still think you bring on like a DP or maybe a Tam Gam player in a wide role. So hopefully that we'll see what Amaya can bring. And then, kind of what Coach said today is if you're not featuring over these last 7 games, you're most likely not a part of the plan in the future. So I want to see who he relies on and who's a part of his plans going forward.
Go ahead, Coach.
Yeah,
I'm waiting.
I want to see the Hunger Games out there. I want to see Jans throw his pieces into the playing field and just watch them get eliminated. I want him to throw Lama out there and say, Lama, you are a really good player. I've seen a lot of good things about you. Here are the 3 things I want you to do today. And if not, I'm sorry, you're gone. I want to see Maddox. I want to see, Maddox, Adi when he's healthy. I'm going to throw you out there, and this is it. This is your 90 minutes to prove yourself. I mean, this is no longer like, let's get you warmed up. Let's get you into the flow. I mean, you've had a full season here. You haven't had a full season necessarily under Ron Jans, but soccer is soccer when it comes down to it. And when it comes down to intensity, winning your personal duels, making the runs that need to be made, those are things that every player should be able to do regardless of system. I want to see Jans throw those pieces out there and just let them just sink or swim, fail or succeed. And let's, as fans, see who we're going to be supporting next year and into 2021.
Stephen Marath on Facebook had this comment. Says, I know it's first year, but really want to see some progression and us getting a little better. Every game we look like we are starting over and over. So kind of along those same lines, he wants to see progression. I think we all do. For me, I just want to see, there's one thing to possess the ball, to possess it, but I want to see like us attack the goal, right? I want to see the orange and blue like put on a show, like make it entertaining, because it's been brutal to watch this season, right? Like if they're gonna lose, I want to see them losing like 4-3. Now, granted, I know they got get guys who can put the ball in the net, but I just want to see some entertaining matches. Get me on the edge of my seat. Unfortunately, I was not over the weekend. That game in Columbus, I was on the edge of my seat, right? But for the wrong reasons, because that second half, I just felt like the Crew were going to score a game winner at any point. So for me, I just want to see some entertaining soccer. I want to see them, get the fans, as Bryan mentioned now, get those 30,000 fans that are showing up, get them excited for next season, because I don't know, if the trend continues, that third ranking that the club has in MLS attendance this year is going to start to suffer a little bit. So that's what I want to see. And I know Bri wants to see Joe Zhao. I was a little disappointed he didn't get in over the weekend.
Yeah,
he's your guy.
He is my guy. Apparently, Coach must have liked how how Lamar at least adjusted his play in the first half. And I don't know, man. There's a lot of moves he needed to make, and I think we'll see him at some point. But again, this guy is still kind of coming back from his injuries and needs a little bit more time. So I'm okay if they want to see him or give him a little bit more time, considering of his injuries of the past couple of years. But yeah, he'll make a big difference at some point.
You know, Subs, in some way, Steven's right. He says the team looks like they're starting over every week. You know, this is where you can point the finger squarely at the front office, because you can't change coaches the way that they have. You can't have pieces that you've brought in that clearly are not part of your future plans just because they happen to be available at the time. You are starting over in some ways every game because you don't have consistency out there. You brought in a left back in Greg Garza that screams inconsistency right off the bat because of his injury history. And then you don't have anybody to back him up. Not a single other true left back on the team. You know, I think that there's a lot of things, a lot of fingers to be pointed in terms of what's went wrong, but we are starting over. We're starting over all the time because every game's a bit different with the personnel we have out there, with the situation we're faced. And Jans is going into his 4th match in charge, and he's probably still just trying to get to know the guys and get to know what their strengths and weaknesses are. I mean, he picked this up midstream. It's going to be tough for him to adjust. We're not going to really see a Jans team until preseason of next year.
And I know these guys really want me to curse on the show. It's not going to happen. But Steven did add here in our chat. He says, I'd like to see our players give a crap, I'll say. You could see Waston getting actually upset last night. Good for him. I mean, I wouldn't say that they don't, right? I mean, they have some pride, but I'm sure they're frustrated as well. I mean, this isn't what
they signed up for.
This isn't what they signed up for, but in a sense, I mean, it's an expansion club. I mean, what? How rare is it that expansion clubs in year one do well? So it is maybe not totally unexpected, especially, you know, hindsight is 20/20 there, Bryan, but I don't know.
Yeah, we stink, man.
Yeah, the thing about that is when you see the discord out there on the field, you know, you see Darren Maddox throwing his hands up in frustration because he's not getting what he wants.
Yeah.
And you see the same thing from Waston. Cruz is out there. He goes to run and press. Nobody presses with him. And he turns around. He's like, I just made a 40-yard sprint for what, guys?
Yep.
Come on.
And look at Maddox 2 weeks ago, like versus Columbus. Like, you're like, hey, he had a great game, great match, worked his butt off, and then 2 weeks later, it's like, what's going on here?
And that's the thing. I think some of that discord, I mean, some of it's not that they don't care.
Yeah.
It's that they're not caring about the same thing at the same time.
Yeah.
You know? And I'm sorry, but you can't take a team that was built in the preseason for one system, change them to another, to like a midway point, like, oh, well, we don't know what we want to do, so let's just work on passing, and then flip them into a pressing team and expect it to go well. People don't know what they're doing. They don't know where they're supposed to go. You know, and people are going to get frustrated. What we cannot know and what we won't know until this goes forward is on the training pitch, in the locker room, is that getting worked out? Is Maddox going to come back out in another game and be like reinvigorated? Like, I know what went on. I know my guys got my back now. I have their back. Let's go. Or is he going to be done for good? Just being like, I'm done with Cincinnati, you know, screw y'all, I'm out. That's what we won't know. I mean, that's just something we have to wait and see.
Got a few more comments here in our chat room tonight. Thanks to everybody who's staying up late with us and talking a little FCC. This is from Twitter from Stephen REMD. He says, our central midfield play has been a constant problem. And I bring that up because these two gentlemen on the show with me this week love to duke it out behind the scenes about our central midfield. He's not wrong though, right, guys? I mean, it's been an issue.
Absolutely.
Dude, we just need to figure out what we want to do. I think we got...
Are you awake, Bryan? You look tired.
Nah, I'm a little tired. We got different... I mean, we got different opinions, but it's like we both... I don't think it's like we're far off, Coach. Like, we both think that Bertone is the better passer and kind of fits well in a two-person D midfield, like the 4-2-3-1. I think he fits better than Stanko does there, whereas I think Stanko is just the solo, like bulldog, is the better player in that.
You are 100% right. Stanko is the best defensive mid on this team.
Yeah.
Bertoni is much more creative. He's a better passer. Alan Cruz is not a number 10.
Nope.
He can show up and score a goal. That's the role of a number 8. That's the old school Chelsea. Frank Lampard is the best modern day example of that. That number 8, arrive late in the box, delay your run, score a goal, nothing fancy. Cruz can do that. He is not a number 10. He gets lost in that role. He gets sucked into the back line too far. And then you're playing with just Ulloa, who is probably would describe himself as a natural number 6, and Stanko, who is a destroyer and can pass the ball a bit. He's not a bad passer. But you have a bunch of guys playing in different roles, not really understanding each other.
Yep.
Again, I'll go back to that discord on the field that is going to continue to happen without consistency. Jans needs to, like I said before, throw his pieces out there and see what's going to stick. But at the same time, he needs to give these guys clearly defined roles. When you ask Stanko on Sunday, hey, you're going to be our lone number 6 destroyer. Oh, yeah, but also man Mark Santos whenever Columbus has the ball. That's two different things, because he goes, like I said, Santos makes a run to the weak side. Caleb Stanko follows him. It leaves the entire middle of the pitch open. Ulloa is not dropping because, hey, Stanko's the number 6. I just want to see these roles clearly defined. Give me what I should do, and I will do it, coach. That's what I'm telling Jans if I'm these guys.
Anything to add to that, Bryan?
No, I'm in 100% agreement.
Yeah,
I'm getting fired up, Tubes. I'm ready to go play some foot golf now.
So I said he's better. Yeah,
rushing this off the tee. I'm angry.
I love it. I don't have Boston to make fun of over here, so we'll get through it.
Yeah, it has been a problem, right? I just enjoy getting my popcorn ready each time that debate seems to come up amongst us CSTers. But you're right. I mean, Cruz is not a 10. It's weird. Like, he's been out of position all year long, right? I mean, he's been on the wing. He's been put at the 10. He's been put in an 8. I mean, he's our best player. Honest to
goodness, if I'm his agent, I am doing everything I can to move him out of FC Cincinnati this offseason, because he's not able to show himself as in his best role, in his best position. And I mean, if I was him, I'd be trying to get out of this right now as well. And I know that's hard to hear as an FC Cincinnati person, but I mean, wouldn't you, if you have you clearly are doing great things for the Ticos, when you're still scoring goals in non-natural roles, I mean, it's something that we need to be worried about this offseason, I think.
I mean,
contracts don't matter.
Right. He's the leading goal scorer, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, he's been the main threat.
Are tied at 4.
Yeah,
I believe.
5.
So, I mean, I hope that's not the case, because then we have, well, I guess he's a young DP. But man, if you take him out of the group here, that is bad news. Let's hope that doesn't happen. Don't listen to Bryan.
Theoretically, though, like, okay, he leaves, and then we got Bertone, who can fill that 6 role, but yeah, I don't even know if he could do the high press or pressing. He doesn't move enough.
Man. There's something to be said. Cruz and Waston are tight. It's got a big brother, little brother vibe true. There. We've signed Waston. And Cruz is scoring goals. He's one of the leading goal scorers. If you talk about making that next contract, man, there's a lot of places. If it doesn't matter what else you've done, if you can say, hey, I'm a central midfielder and on this team, I was a leading scorer, that makes you look good. So I think there are some reasons to stick around. Plus, I mean, where else can you play in front of 27,000 fans when you haven't won a game in the last 8 or 12 or whatever it's been? That's
overrated.
Something to be said for that.
That's overrated. No, if I'm him, I'd be asking for some more money.
Oh yeah, always.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, no doubt about it. That's the clink of the ice from Coach's drink. That means it's time we start wrapping things up here. Appreciate all the calls tonight. And for those of you watching live right now, appreciate you sticking with us. We got off to a little bit of a late start tonight, but again, better late than never. So really had a good show tonight, and it was fun getting all the different takes from everybody. As we begin to wrap things up, Bryan, you look absolutely exhausted. You're over there yawning. You got any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Sell me up, pal. Appreciate it. Hey, man, I got to get ready for this baby coming, man. In a month, I think this might be the last time I talk to you guys for a while. I'm still excited for the end of the season here to see what comes of it. If we can get Amaya back on the field and how he progresses, if at all, and Zhao and Etienne Gutman, I still think that this is an anomaly, not the norm for him. So 4 home games left. Hopefully, I'll at least make one of them. You never know with me. So man, we'll see how it goes. But optimistic that we can at least get one win to end this year, and just know what they say. It's like, if you're going to do something, do it big. Well, we're doing it big in the wrong way. We're setting records in every wrong way. So it's only up from here.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Good stuff, Bryan. As always, appreciate you being on the show. And I know you were pretty fired up yesterday, and we were half tempted to do the show last night, but maybe we should have with all everything that happened tonight. But no.
Can I say something real quick? I forgot.
Yeah.
Freaking Tifo.
That was
out
great.
of this world. Out of this world. Those guys, whoever came up with it, Jeremy or Starkey or all those guys at the House of Ginger, whatever, freaking amazing. Good job. Good job, SGs.
Yeah, that was a really well done Tifo. That was pretty awesome. If you haven't seen pictures, I'm sure you can find them over on our social media at Cincinnati Soccer Talk on Twitter. Bryan, best of luck. I'm sure we'll be chatting soon, buddy.
Thanks, pal.
Brad Goff, Coach Goff, final thoughts?
Yeah, I think when you get into this point of the season where there's not a whole lot to watch for, you just played your last big match you were hoping to win. You're out of the playoff picture. I just want to see some incremental change. So what to watch for? At the second half of Sunday's game, Mane played a false 9. 2 games ago against NYCFC, when Maddox got the hook, Joe Zhao came in and played center forward. So we've seen Jan start to move away from that target forward, and Maddox really isn't a target forward anyway. So those are the kinds of things that I'm looking for. Where does Zhao fit in? Where does Etienne Jr. fit in? These are guys that I really think can contribute. Can we get Amaya back? Let's look for these incremental things. And hopefully we can sit here in a few weeks and look back on today and be like, at least it's gone up from then. We thought that was rock bottom, and it was. If we think this is rock bottom and it's not, that's when we're going to start to have problems.
Well said, Coach. Appreciate you being with us this week. And also make sure you email us if you got any questions for Coach when it comes to tactics or anything. Make sure you email us feedback at CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com. Coach wants to hear from you for one of his upcoming articles, right, Coach?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to answer some questions, get your ideas, and let's talk soccer. That's what it's all about, right? Soccer supporters coming together and having some fun and talking about the beautiful game.
I love it. Appreciate you being on the show tonight.
Yeah, happy to. Thanks.
My final thoughts. I had the pleasure Saturday night. By the way, the weather this weekend was absolutely perfect for late August for foot golf. I mean, you guys couldn't have had a better weather weekend for that, as well as the crew game. But up here in Northwest Ohio, the mighty Moeller came up. I got a chance to see the varsity soccer squad take on Toledo St. Francis up here. They won 4-1. That was pretty neat to see Coach Mike Welker get the job done. Very physical game. Saw a red card for St. Francis, so that was interesting. A kid from Moeller also got a black eye. 50-50 ball going for a header. Ooh, that was not pretty. But they won 4-1, and first time I had seen Moeller play a soccer game since my senior year of high school, 21 years ago, believe it or not, as I age myself. So I was proud to be there amongst the Moeller family and see him play up here. So that was pretty cool. All right, time to get out of here. My thanks to Bryan Weigel and Brad Goff for being with us this week. I'm Subs, reminding you to watch your tackles. We've got March to Match Day coming up this week, so make sure you get subscribed. Enjoy the rest of your evening.